Thanks, listeners. So great to be sitting down on a Wednesday in advance of the regular Elko County Commissioners meeting with our County Commission Vice Chair. And return to the studio, it's Delmo Andreozzi. Thank you so much, Commissioner, for being on the radio program today.
Absolutely my pleasure to be here with you on this September day. It's hard to believe we're already into September, but here we are. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. I hope that I don't get to enjoy the fair like I used to. We go to Jarbidge quite frequently, and we're usually there. My whole family was up there, and so but I know you've always participated in the fair, and I'm sure we had another great event up there. So
we did. It really was a glorious time. And I think people understand too, Delmo, that sometimes you just got to take that time away, especially when you're in public service, and spend that quality time with your family. And what better place to do it there? Are you now the mayor of Jarbidge? Has that happened yet?
I don't know. Okay. Maybe in my own household. Maybe.
Okay, maybe. We'll ask Annie
I might be
about
vice
that.
mayor in my own house.
All right. That sounds great. But yes, it was a beautiful fair, wonderful tradition. I think the 40th, Elko High School 40th class reunion, something like that. So amazing times. Really
That's great.
Cool. So we'll dive into the agenda. Again, we'll do a lot of catching up. It's not a super heavy agenda today, but I did want to start at the top because you are wearing a shirt. You changed into a shirt as you got here. The Walk for Hope, Health, and Healing is set for Saturday, September 13th, so we're still a couple of weeks away, but this suicide awareness is very important to you, Delmo, and I wanted to make sure that listeners were aware of that.
Well, thanks for that, Lori, and it is important to me. And, we, Zero Suicides with Lynette Vega reached out and asked about a proclamation. And I said, absolutely. And I said, how about if I wear a T-shirt too? So the purpose of all of this for me is I know that we have people in our community who are hurting in one way or another. And this is a small way that for me, as a leader in the community, to actually see an opportunity to stand up in solidarity, because all of us are not unscathed from this. All of us have either known someone personally or family members, or even struggled with issues ourselves, and it's just the reality of it. And so I think we've come a long ways from, well, maybe it's better not to talk about it, but really it is better to talk about it. And the resources that are out there, acknowledge it, and maybe we can help people that need help. And that when I say help people, that could be you or I or anybody else in our community. And we have such a responsibility to each other I think in solidarity, I just want to lend my support to their efforts. And I know there's another thing, and I have it on this shirt, but there's a new helpline that's 988, Lori, and that's a number that I want everybody to be familiar with. It's just they need to be as familiar with that number as they are 911, because they have a huge and successful track record for helping people to de-escalate situations. And I would just say if you feel like you're struggling or know someone that is, that's the number. We need to plaster that number all over the place, and we need to know that's the number to the call, that there are resources to help us through these times. It's just, as I watch over the years, I'm just astounded at the impact that it's had in just our little community. It's been serious. So, what can we do working together to try to lean on each other, to try to lend support to those that have been affected by this in one way or another? And that's really the purpose of the resolution. That's the purpose of the shirt. That's the purpose of the walk. And Lynette's invited me to come down and provide some opening remarks. And so I will be there as well. And I encourage the community to come out, but just put that on your fridge or whatever. Just remember that if you know or need some help, remember that phone number, 988.
Delmo Andreozzi is our County Commission Vice Chair. Of course, the walk is on Saturday, September 13th, starts at 8 at Great Basin College near the gym. It's not too late to register. Again, that number is so important, 988. If you or someone you care for is suffering, you can also call that number to get help for someone, and then that national hotline will get you local help. That's the other thing. They dial right into local resources, Delmo, so that's huge. So thank you for opening up the broadcast with that today.
You bet. It's an important thing, and again, something that we can all be a part of. So I'm just happy to be a part of it in this way, and stand with my friends and neighbors.
So talking with Commissioner Andreozzi, obviously you're eyeing budget woes. PERS increases are affecting the county budget, just as they are municipalities throughout the county, including the city of Elko.
Yeah, we had a pretty significant and a difficult budget time. We were able to to get there at the end of the day, but we had some pretty significant revenue challenges, and just in C-tax alone, we're off about $3 million. But interestingly enough, which I don't think other people know, but this money goes in through the state. It's out, and then it's allocated out, the C-tax, which is sales tax. I apologize for that. Back out to the counties pursuant to a formula, and the state went through some type of conversion. And we had one month that was really off, and they said there was going to be a true up month, but I still think it's off. And the last time we heard from the state, sounds like there could be. There's no question that the revenues are down. They're down. We've been watching that trend line for quite a while, but hopefully we are able to get some of that revenue back, because I do think some of it was part of this going to a new system.
All right. And I know the city has talked about that too, in that similar vein. So we'll keep talking about that, Commissioner. Obviously, the county does have some significant capital plans, including a jail expansion. We just talked to, I think you just came from speaking with a budget committee, or the jail. An expansion could cost about $12 million for a behavioral health unit. Right.
There's no shortage of needs, right? And so, the most important thing that we can do is really prioritize those items and try to get them funded. I think that, even though I know it's a little bit controversial in terms of the pay-as-you-go tax, for the first time ever, that's given us some breathing room, and at least some. And I'll say it again, that is locked up specifically for capital needs. It's not being used in the general government. So, it's that's a good thing, because now we can really start to look at some of these critical needs that we have and start to address them. And even if we make some thoughts or ideas, like we've talked about the judicial center, and really the cost of that's really, as it was presented, really isn't affordable. So we need to really kind of look at that and continue to look at other options. Are there other options available? So, we want to keep all those options, but identify those priorities and just continue to move forward on those.
We know that in the August 6th meeting, I think the commissioners were presented with the prospect of the feasibility study for the former Wells Fargo building. Yes,
and that could be one of those options. I know the city of Elko looked at it one time before, but that doesn't necessarily mean anything. That's very close to where we are. I think that space would be very difficult to fill with any other type of use. I suppose it's possible, but it would be challenging. So, there's we do have storage issues, whether it's our files or our electronic devices for voting, or all of that stuff. There's all of that stuff takes space, and people take space. And so, there again, can we do something that's a lot more feasible and affordable? So, that's part of that, looking at options, because we just don't want to put our head down in one direction. We know it's a priority. How do we there's lots of ways to get there. What's the best way to get there, given the resources that we have?
So the commission went ahead. It's about a $15,000 study, right?
Yeah.
So it's small, comparative, and you can look at the one the city did, because it was older, obviously. Mm-hmm. And I think the SWAT team's been in there since.
Yeah, I'm sure they have. It's a great old historic building, as you know.
They were training in there, is what we were talking about. Yes.
Right. Yeah. So I think those guys will take an opportunity anywhere one presents itself. So
Yes.
what a great use of the facility, really.
Yes. So whether or not the county could acquire it, use it existing, obviously fix it up. It could be county offices. Maybe it could be court space. As you mentioned, storage is huge.
Yeah.
So, but you would want it at a bargain, I'm sure.
Sure, and I think that, that's where you really get to thinking about what's the cost of this versus the benefit over time, and that's really what we need to. That's why early on I was always hesitant to really call it. I was just calling it an expansion. It kind of got named the Judicial Center, but I think that sometimes, sometimes that paints some unrealistic expectations, right? I mean, we got to do what's best, whatever that is, and we know we need space. And so, we're continuing to look at that because, like I said, what was presented, and we haven't seen anything that's been significantly pared down. We just need to continue to look at these options, and that potentially could be a great option, and maybe not. We just don't know.
You wait for that report. And then since we're on the topic too, Commissioner, I mean, the Idaho Street property, you've got the Wright Motor Building, the old Washington Federal, which is now a district courtroom, I believe. So, I mean, those are all part of the planning and consideration?
Mm-hmm. Right. All of this property that we had the original footprint, you remember, and then it's been a constant evolution. You remember the Rainbow Lanes were there at one time, and that was acquired, and that's where the current Nanini building footprint is in at this point in time. You remember the old DA's office that used to be alongside 6th Street there, right? That was there a long time ago, and it's no longer there. And there's I think there are things that have changed. And there was an apartment complex that we were able to, an old apartment complex off of New Pine that we were able to acquire, the Wrights property. So again, just buffering us and trying to come up with the best possible solution we can, because parking will always be an issue. And I think it's important for us to be good neighbors to the downtown community. I think that our civic function in terms of our courthouse and all of that, subsequent, the clerk, the record. I think it's important that we're downtown Elko for juries and all of that. I think it's really important for us to stay downtown Elko.
Yeah, I think our law offices would appreciate that as well. Certainly, they've grown up around that vicinity too. So stay tuned, right? More to come on the planning for whatever kind of expansion it is. And as Commissioner Andreozzi just described, at least there's now a funding mechanism with the shift in pay-as-you-go. So you have a capital fund. And how big is the fund now?
I would be guessing right now, but it's pretty substantial because we haven't spent any of it. We've just been collecting it. And you remember we had 50 cents there. 6 cents was going to WFPP, which is the Wildland Fire Protection piece. And then we had the 44 cents, but then we gave back like 20 cents to the school district. But whatever that is, it's been growing steadily, and none of it's been touched yet. So it's in a capital fund reserved for a capital project. And again, that's why it's important for us to have priorities identified, and then because they are finite dollars, we want to make the best possible decision that we can.
Right, and some of the any decision you make could have ongoing expenses and consequences. We know the $12 million jail expansion is going to come with operating costs because you have full-time nursing and full-time medical care for these are inmates that have serious behavioral health issues and cannot be commingled in with the general population.
That's right, and we've seen that demographic change significantly, and it's really hard to put your finger on what it is, but in some of the conversations I've had, we've seen a lot of these synthetic drugs. If they don't kill you, they alter you, or can alter you pretty significantly, and we're seeing that. That's what's in our jail, and so that's a challenge. So I'm definitely looking forward to the hospital getting the behavioral health unit. That's going to provide some capacity and some additional resources, and a better treatment opportunity for people who, suffer with behavioral health issues.
Right, before they ever get to that stage, certainly. Talking with our Elko County Commission Vice Chair, Delmo Andreozzi. Again, the Commission meets in regular session 1:30 today. You can follow along in person in the meeting room at 540 Court Street, or obviously online at elkocountynv.net. We haven't even really gotten to agenda items yet, but thankfully it is a light agenda. We should mention, though, there will be an update from the Elko County Fire Protection District. Chief Matt Peterson has a fire season update report. So thank goodness the county was able to invest in local fire protection, because this is yet another very busy fire season.
It is, and I really thank you for bringing this up. This is definitely one thing I wanted to talk about. So I don't necessarily need to go into all the detail, but I want to hit a couple of highlights. Yes, we've had rain, and it helped, but it's still fire season. So I'm just encouraging everybody to be extra vigilant as you go out and enjoy our public lands. Please just be very, very diligent in all that you do. With that, I'd like to say, we've had some pretty significant fires right at the back door in Midas, for instance, and then this most recent fire that we had. Well, we've had several fires. There's been a lot of fires that we've had, but probably the most significant one we had was the Cottonwood Peak fire. And, that was taken on by a critical incident management team, or a CIMT, which is a federal division that came in here to manage that. And I felt like it was really, I'm sorry to the listeners, I got a little something in my throat, I apologize. I felt it was important as a county commissioner for me to go up there to the actual fire scene and see what's happening. I always have concerns about, sometimes when people come in and take control, sometimes there's a hierarchy or, challenges and those things that go along, or maybe it's a lack of familiarity with the area. And so I wanted to go up and observe that firsthand. I wanted to see if they were working with our ranchers. And I don't know if it started out that way, but by the time I got there, they were. In fact, and it's interesting to see, I'm not a firefighter by any stretch of the imagination, but to go up there and see the resources that they had there. I mean, they had on-staff meteorologists, right? So they at night they would plan what their what they were going to do the next day. They'd been meeting daily with the ranchers up there, and I know this. From one of the incident management team, they'd had a plan come together, and one of the ranchers in that area, and they were working very well with 3 of the ranchers up there. And I don't know if that's all inclusive, but that's what I'm aware of. And they said, look, this is what we think, and this is why. And that management team actually changed their strategy for attacking that fire that day. And then luckily, it was just terrible. We had this high heat, low humidity, high winds. It was just a perfect storm. And it's terrible to see a loss of habitat that much, because not only does it impact us as far as our recreation, but that's what the cattle ranchers rely on to feed their, that's a huge part of their industry. So, I was relieved. It was certainly interesting to see. And, that fire currently is under control, and we're kind of mopping up, and that incident management team has since moved on. But the one big takeaway I had from that was that incident commander that I was talking to said, we were really excited at how well we have a rancher liaison program that works here. And they were really excited about that. So I think it's my responsibility to make sure that I don't know how widespread that is. I don't know if it's in the rest of Nevada, but at least use that explanation as a model and share that with the rest of Nevada, with the rest of the country, because you can't beat that historic knowledge of the people that are on the ground. And we all have the same objective. That's to put the fire out and minimize the damage. We all have the same objective. So how best do we get there? And so that was my biggest takeaway that I had up there. It's awfully heart-wrenching to see a lot of that country burned up. This is areas that I used to go as a young man, and it's it's sad to see that kind of an impact. But it's part of the life that we have in here. When I was watching Midas, I have this app. It's called Firewatch app, which is a great app, by the way. I was watching all this stuff blow up around Midas, and I'm thinking, what do we got going on over there? So I asked our Chief Peterson, what's happening? He goes, it's all lightning strikes. So, it's just interesting to see that. And then, like you say, it's the WFPP that we participate in. It's a great program, and we discussed this also. I think it was our annual payment for that. It might have been at our last meeting. The program's really good. I don't know if the funding or formula is. I think that could use some work, but be that as it may, it's nice that we have that, because I don't know what this fire is going to ultimately end up costing. It's going to be millions of dollars, and it's going to be, that cost is going to be borne by that WFPP and by the federal government.
Right. And we all know that, there are changes coming, and they could be drastic. The federal government would like to see the states assume more of those costs for emergencies, natural disasters, and fire is among them. And you're right. I wanted to just mention that nobody knows the lay of the land. That's where that comes from better than those who are on the land. And so those ranchers played a huge role in those teams being able to surround those flames, both air and ground crews.
And the thing that tickled me the most is that they engage that knowledge, and that they use that knowledge. It's one thing to have the knowledge and you're oblivious to it, but actually engage it and utilize it. Great.
That's right. Go to the tent. Don't sit back on Facebook and complain.
Yeah.
Yes, we all want to do that. So anytime we can say things and be heard and be included and involved, and that helped to resolve that issue, Delmo. So that's great news. And I think that does lend to just a quick mention too of an October 15th special meeting, because that is an area beloved that was ravaged by fire, and commissioners are going to be meeting there.
Yeah, we're planning on having our mid-month meeting at the Lions Camp in Lamoille. So if you haven't been up there, years of work has gone into rehabilitating and restoring Camp Lamoille, the Lions Camp up there. And there's been a lot of volunteer effort, a lot of community support. There's the new kitchen and that's being replaced up there. And we're hoping that that'll be done, and we'll have what I envision is like a little ribbon ceremony, and being able to be up there and actually broadcasting our meeting, and certainly inviting the public to come on up, take a look at it. There's been a lot of heavy lifting that's gone on up there, and I have to underscore, even with that, is just our relationship with the Forest Service on multiple occasions in that regard. But we've had massive floods up there, we've had rock debris, we've had people stranded, we've had the fire. Just about every disaster you can think of, we had it up there. And so I think we have a really, really good, strong relationship with our Forest Service. I can't speak highly enough of Josh Nichols, who's our district ranger. I can pick up the phone, call him anytime, and that phone line runs both ways. So that's I would love to see the people up there enjoying that great facility.
Yes, and it's important to mention that, at the time, let's just put everything in perspective. After COVID relief, we had American Rescue Plan Act money. About $750,000 went into that, restoring that campground, Delmo. And I think maybe at the time it was eyebrow lifting, but seriously, in retrospect, what a great investment, because we have seen money for other purposes that has not been put to good use, or has been promised, it's not been used, but in this instance, look at the recovery. Yeah,
it's been incredible, and I'm really glad that we did that as well. And I don't know, sooner or later, these, remember, it used to be a Boy Scout camp, and people wear out over time. And I really do see that as a community, a greater community asset, and maybe someday, I'm not saying that now, but, maybe someday it actually becomes part of the Elko County's park portfolio. I don't know, but it's important to have such an incredible place. And man, if you haven't been up there in a while, it's spectacular. I think the fall colors are going to be wonderful. It's still, I remember when that fire happened, Lori, just like everybody else, and I'm sure you do, man. grieved like like it was an old friend. That was just a horrific fire, and not that any of them are any good, but that one really had a huge impact on me. And it's been great to see the community come together. There have been so much donations and so much community involvement. And wow, that kind of shows you the kind of people that we have in Elko County, the kind of folks that just roll up their sleeves and get her done.
That's right. And thanks again to the Elko Lions Club. It is the Lions Club Camp Lamoille right now, as you mentioned, whether or not the future, but it's certainly a legacy and something that the people can treasure, for generations to come. That's always been the intent and the goal. Well, speaking of, I know that you are a champion of health and as a liaison to the Northeastern Nevada Regional Hospital, but you're also instrumental. We have a health board now, and it meets quarterly. And, and I was just talking to a physician this week who is concerned because of the COVID-19 vaccine access. So do you know if the health board is going to take that up? Do you know if there's opportunity for like a resolution? Other states have been able to say, hey, we want to adopt policies for local access to COVID-19 vaccines.
That's not anything that's been brought up yet, but I'm happy to look into it.
So, but that's the mission of the health board, right? I mean, you do hear concerns from local.
Yeah. Oh, generally speaking, my whole goal with that was originally, well, first of all, it was required by statute, and then somehow it just wasn't a priority. But really, for me, it was an important place for people to speak and talk, right? I mean, we rely on so much, because we really don't even have a public health nurse, as you know. We used to until 1999. Then part of that strategy to get out of that was actually using Nevada health centers, right? And so, and the hospital and the school district, immunization, whatever it is, the topic is that we're having, it's just a place for people to come and share information. So back in those days, we've always had a health board official, but no reports, no communication, no anything. So, that's kind of the key, is being able to communicate and understand and be able to share what concerns are and really take them on. We've taken on some really challenging things. Some people may agree and may not agree, and that's okay, but again, it's just that trying to provide some transparency with Nevada health centers. And just to talk about them a little bit, we retooled their whole thing. They've had this beautiful clinic here that they've been, the county owned that building, so we were able to get it into their hands, got some private funding and grants to rehabilitate that old clinic. So that's been a big thing. But they're also in Carlin, they're in Jackpot, they're in West Window. They have a huge footprint in Elko County, and they've been expanding out into behavioral health. And so all of these pieces are really important. And really, those are some of the big things that we've been talking about. And that's some of the outgrowth, whether it's suicide prevention or awareness or behavioral health in general. A lot of conversation is centered around that. A lot of that conversation about what's happening in the jail. The sheriff sits on that board. So, it's the 5 commissioners, it's the sheriff, and it's our health official, Bryce Putnam, who acts as the chairperson.
And Delmo, again, just thanks. I do want people to understand that you were the one who did initiate having these quarterly organized public meetings so people can bring health concerns, whether it's if we have outbreaks of sexually transmitted disease, which is a reality in rural Nevada right now. Some of those issues. We now have a facility, as you mentioned. I think they spoke recently at the county meeting, Convergence Health. They're doing cancer treatments, cataract surgeries, things that, because we're having conversations about this, Delmo, you brought all of these issues and the people that can resolve them together.
Well, and that really truly was the intent, right? So I'm probably should know as much as anybody could know about the community, right? And I had no idea that we had a health official, no idea. And I thought, if I don't know that, it was just one of those things that, we were able to champion a lot of things, good, bad, or indifferent through the pandemic. We we really were setting the bar pretty high with the help of Great Basin College, and I mean, we did a lot. We did a lot of things.
And she's our president now.
And she's
Yes, Dr. Amber Dinelli, who again, because I think she was elevated to that position of responsibility. Delmo worked with the county health board, worked with Dr. Bryce Putnam. Everybody could see what we have when we all work together like this and collaborate. So. Yes. So thank you. I'd like to offer Dr. Bryce Putnam his own radio show. I think that would be. I think that would be great.
He's a great guy. He's very. He's just very easygoing, and it's kind of sometimes hard to remember that he's a physician.
Yes, he's our healthcare professional, and he has stuck with it. He didn't, you would think that through COVID that people would be done because people were exhausted, but no.
And a lot of people did. It took out a lot of people.
Yes, so Delmo, thank you. Well, I know I need to send you downtown, but
Is it getting to be that time already?
It is getting to be that time,
right.
But I wanted to make sure, I'm just looking through, because did we actually touch on the agenda? We did the fire outlook. That's going to be on the agenda today. We had so many things to catch up on because we've been in between county shows. I know you guys hit the road a little bit. Oh, there's a Veterans Parade Planning Committee meeting?
Yeah, that's coming up. So again, Veterans Day, there's a planning committee meeting. Please get involved. It's one of the ways that we can pay tribute to those men and women who have served us in our military forces. So please come out and show your support and either participate or thank a vet, because we owe them a lot.
We do. And that meeting, this is the 20th annual parade, by the way. So think about people like Charlie Myers, who's no longer with us, obviously. Think about some of the people who were there in the very beginning and come out to continue what they created in honor of our veterans. The Planning Committee meeting is going to be on Tuesday, the 9th of September, 6 p.m. And I believe it is in the county meeting room.
It is.
So, all right.
And last thing, I don't know if I have time.
Take your time.
It looks like I'm running a little bit late. But I just wanted to let the community know, that I've been acting president for Nevada Association of Counties, otherwise known as NACO. And NACO's been, probably one of my favorite assignments that I've had. I shouldn't say that because I got a lot of great assignments. I love doing all the things that I do. But NACO's been especially rewarding for me because I get to collaborate with, 17 other counties and build community relations with those folks. And so the annual conference is it's a celebration for the outgoing president, which is me. So we're
celebrating you.
We're celebrating me, and I'll be down there in Las Vegas for this one, and. The folks of NACO, there's a common theme, I think, between them and a lot of elected officials, in my view, is none of us are perfect, but everybody cares to do and tries to do the right thing with their perspective, with their viewpoint, and that's what I've seen again and again and again. And there is another association I can pick up the phone anytime, and it doesn't matter, big city, small city, whatever, county, call the NACO staff, especially during legislative session, which can be a little bit daunting, and it's a great resource that we have, and huge honor for me from being in Elko. It's been a long time since an Elko County Commissioner has been the president, so it's a huge honor for me.
Is coming here?
Yeah, the conference will be in Las Vegas.
Oh, in Vegas, okay, and then we'll wait our turn.
Yep.
Thank you. Nevada Association of Counties is what NACO stands for, just in case you may have said that, but. Delmo, thank you. I really hope we got to everything. I know you're going to come back. We all had busy summers, but we're getting back into the routine, so we'll get you back on the show on a more regular basis. I
look forward to being back on the air with you, Lori. I hope you and all the listeners have a great day.
Thank you, County Commissioner Delmo Andreozzi on Elko Live today.